Welcome to the huddle. I'm your host, Zachary Lunt, and my co-host over here is Dan Amundsen.
How's it going?
So we're going to start off with the hottest topic of the week. We got women's soccer. They're 14-0. They had their last game on October 5th, which number 14 scored the winning goal, and it was on their 14th win.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's kind of a little crazy thing there. On the 14th, they got their 14th. It was kind of a day of 14s, I guess. You had goals from Danny Nelson, fellow Woodbury grad, so kind of shout out to her. Go Woodbury. But then from Rachel Norton, again, continuing to show up on the score sheet. And then Sarah went number 14 there, like you said, in double overtime. Pretty exciting stuff. They proved me wrong. If you remember last week, I said they'd lose one of these games, and I'm sure glad they did. We still got an undefeated team, third ranked in the nation now.
Yeah, and we were talking about they were playing really good. The OT win was the double OT win was actually a headbutt, kind of like the ball came down, she hit it with her head and went right in the net. It was pretty actually crazy to think that was the goal winning score.
Pretty sweet play.
So there's 4 games left. Do you think BSU is going to win it out?
You know,
4 games left?
I do. Honestly, at this point, I predicted them to lose last weekend. I can't doubt them anymore. How can you? They've got 4 games, like you said. The real only threat I see is Augustana. They're 9-3-1, I believe. And everyone else is, I think they should be able to take care of business if they play soccer like they've been playing soccer.
Yeah, we'll see how that works. Just depends on their game, I guess.
Yep.
I mean, they've been playing good consistently. I thought the only team they had to worry about was Mankato State.
That's what I thought, too.
And Mankato State they beat. So
Took care of business.
let's go on to our next topic here. Aside of soccer, we're turning on to football. Big topic, they lost 27-24. BSU lost. So against Upper Iowa especially, I don't know. We both predicted wrong. We both said about 30-3 or 30-7, something like that. And Upper Iowa came back to win.
They did. You kind of a reverse of what we saw on homecoming, where Bemidji was in that hole down by 21, and they came back and won. The next week, they kind of flipped the script on them and blew a 21-point lead themselves. It's pretty disappointing, honestly. It's going to be a big blow. They were looking after that Sioux Falls win. There was hopes of playoffs, and after this one, that tunnel is closing. The light at the end of the tunnel is growing dimmer and dimmer. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think this is kind of sucks because they were up like 17-0 in the first half, and they didn't have any score. They had no scoring whatsoever. And then the second half, they came back and 27 unanswered points, pretty much you could say. It's one of those things that's just crazy to think they just lost it, just like how they played against the last week's game before that, and they came back to win. BSU special teams, because they scored the first drive. It was Landon Jones, actually, the receiver. He got the catch and went down for a 97-yard kick return. And that was the start of the drive, 7-0. Also, with special teams, they kept on having punt blocks. What do you think about that issue?
Yeah, that we've seen that 2 weeks in a row now. That's something they're going to have to take care of. A block punt is in the end, a block punt is absolutely unacceptable. You cannot let that happen. That's going to lead to points for the other team. And here it did. They took that block punt right back for a touchdown right then and there. And if you look on the film, you're going to see a mistake from at least this last game that it's easily correctable. But they're going to have to make sure they do it. They got to communicate with the offensive line, and they got to communicate who's blocking who. Because if you watch it there, you're going to see the right tackle on the end there. He has a couple guys to block. Ultimately they're outnumbered. You've got the safety valve basically right in front of the kicker, and then you've got your offensive line. And the right tackle, you'll watch him, he's going to take the guy on the end rusher, and that allows 2 guys to come right up the middle at those 3 guys. And so ultimately someone's outnumbered, and that's who ends up getting to the kicker, the punter, is that guy who came right up the middle, basically untouched, blocked that punt. So the simple way to correct that tackle, the right tackle, if he steps down to the inside, he's going to take that guy up the middle. It's very unlikely that guy comes all the way off the edge around everybody. There's not enough time. If you get that punt off quickly, there's just not going to be enough time. So it's a simple problem to fix. You just got to look at film and get it done.
Yeah, especially that's a big thing to get fixed, especially for this next game against Mankato, who's number 1 in the NSIC. So With this, we're going into this, the upcoming game against Mankato State. Predictions, kind of, what are you worried about with this kind of game?
Well, you look at it on paper, there's a reason to worry because you look at the stats, and especially in the conference, Mankato State is in basically the top of every single category. You look at every single one, you're going to look at the top 3 or 4 teams, Mankato's going to be right up in there with them. And so they're really good on paper, and they're really good on the field, and they haven't lost a game, and there's a reason they're number 1 in the nation.
So what do you think the score is going to be?
It's going to be hard to say. This one could be a real low-scoring game. It could be a shootout, but I could see a 24-10 win for Mankato State. I hate to say it, but reality check.
Yeah, I don't know. I shouldn't hate on the Beavers, but at the same time, I believe in the defense. So I'm going to say it's going to be like 17-3 because I don't know about this offense. The only thing I'm worried about is that quarterback situation, especially with Brandon Alt gone. If he's back, but that'd be if he's back. I don't think.
I wouldn't plan on that.
It sounds like he's out for the rest of the year. So that's where I'm worried about is that offensive side.
For sure.
So let's lead into let's get out of football. We start going into hockey. So last weekend we played against UIndy. Friday night we won 2-1. And Saturday night, it ended in a tie. Actually went into OT, and they tied it 1-1. So, with that said, what do you think is, the next step for the Beavers? Do you think they'll play consistently?
Yeah, well, first thing, let me say ties are stupid. Ties should not be in sports. I absolutely hate that. I think you should play to win. But ultimately, I think the Beavers will. They look good. Ultimately, they look good. There's a few things I didn't like. I think we'll get into that in a little bit. But ultimately, I think they're going to be a competitive team this year. Whether or not they're finishing games, they're going to have to finish them. But I think they'll be able to hang in games at least throughout the season and hopefully be some good entertainment for us.
So what do you see in Bemidji? Like, what do you think is good? What is bad? So what you've seen in this game, last couple games?
Yep. So the first thing I see right away that looks awesome is right now their penalty kill is perfect. Through 2 games, it's perfect. That being said, they're taking too many penalties. They had 8 penalties in 2 games, 4 in each game. That's just too much. Eventually, that's going to lead to more goals for the other team. And you're playing shorthanded. You're not going to be scoring shorthanded very often. That each time that's 2 minutes, you're basically not in the offensive zone. That just hurts in general, even if you're not letting up that power play goal. They got to be moving their feet, not taking those penalties. They've been getting out-skated in a lot of places and just out-hustled. So I think if they start moving their feet, skating a little faster, skating a little harder, they're going to keep things improving.
So you think the good thing they did was power play. They killed the power play, but at the same time, it's bad that they were in the penalty box for so long.
Correct.
So upcoming game, they're playing against October 28th. They're playing against Michigan.
Northern Michigan. Yep.
What do you think about this next game?
Yeah, it's still so early. It's going to be hard to say. I think they'll come out competitive. I'll be interested to see who's in goal. We saw 2 different goalies this weekend. Both of them played real well. Only 1 goal each game. That's awesome if you can do that all year long. So we'll see who they choose to go with there. They've got a week off really to rest up and get some fresh legs again. So I think we'll see them come out of the gate strong and put on a good show.
Well, I think they had Driscoll and they had Johnson. It was 2 goalies.
Correct.
And Driscoll actually has never played for BSU until this year, if I remember right.
I believe so.
And then Johnson is his second year, but he didn't play much at all last year. So because he was the backup for Blitzer, and Blitzer was pretty much always in. So that's just one of those things. Are they going to bring in somebody that hasn't been in their system before and then now put him in? And maybe that's why they put him in the second game to see how it work with their system. But for a goalie, it doesn't work as big of a deal. But
yeah, and the other thing too, when you're playing back-to-back games like that, you see it a lot in the pros at least, where they'll put in their backup for one of those games. So that might be what they do for a lot of these weekend series. When they've got 2 games in a row, they might just split time.
Against really good teams, especially. Maybe give the other goalie a break.
Correct.
Johnson made some great saves out there.
They both did. They were both really.
I personally think Johnson did a great job, and I watched part of Driscoll's game, but I think they both did great. Obviously, it's still a low-scoring game. But
absolutely.
I think that does it for us this week. We'll see you guys next week. We'll see you guys next week, and There you go. Okay.
Go Beavers.
Go Beavers. Just gotta get the giggles out. Oh gosh. I don't know why it feels so weird.
Because there's nobody here. We're not talking to anybody.